Planning Commission to order. You'll all stand and join me in reciting the pledge. I appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. The agenda needs to be amended, at least I have one, and there may be others, but the one that is important, on the one that Sri and I went over, but isn't in your packets, is the election of officers. So I'd like to add election of officers as number 5 under the approval of the agenda. Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes?
Yeah, new business, A or AB, not BC.
Oh, thank you. Anything else, commissioners? Seeing as there are none, may I have a motion to approve? Pardon me?
The date.
Date?
Is today the 20th? Yeah, March 19th.
Today's 19th. Could be the 20th. I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended and corrected.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The revised agenda is approved. Seeing as how it's approved, the next business tonight is election of officers. I'd like to open the elections. First, are there any nominations for the chair?
I move to elect Tom as chair for another term to exceed.
Second. What?
To exceed, I was gonna say
To
something
exceed.
else. I was gonna say something
Is he supposed to be a chair for life or something?
Well, that's where I was going, to exceed, for the next year,
Next turn?
for the next
Term.
term.
Or,
So he nominated, he seconded. Discussion, comments? Anybody? None? Seeing none? Vote please. Roll call. Julie?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Let everybody speak at once. May I have a motion to nominate a vice chair? I nominate George Goodman as vice chair.
Second.
Second by Julie. Comments, discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Close.
You can't do it.
Oh, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. George is our vice chair. May I have a nomination for secretary? I nominate Kay Stremler, secretary for the next term.
Second.
Second by George. Comments? Roll call, please. We'll start back over on this side.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried. Kay, thank you for agreeing to do this. We hope you agree to do it again.
I agree.
Oh, good.
I mean, we all know that Martha does the really heavy lifting.
We do. Thank you, and thank you for your comments. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Of January 22nd. Any corrections or updates? Commissioners?
Move to approve minutes as read.
Second.
Second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Minutes from the last meeting of January 22nd are approved. At this time, if anybody would like to step to the microphone and provide any comments, is open. We move the sign-in sheet up to the microphone. Would anybody like to make a public comment at this time? Hello, Mr. Public and Mrs. Public. Peter, anything at this time? Seeing none, move to the reports. Our Planning and Zoning Commission report, or administration report, Street.
I'm available if you have any questions. I think it's been a busy week, I think, with all the weathers and the school closing, so I want to apologize for breaking down the packets and sending them to you, and thank you for your patience. And one other comment I had was my contract is extended, so if there's anything, any suggestions or recommendations the Planning Commission has, so that I can help you better, feel free to reach out to me, let them know. I would be happy to improvise. Thank you.
Any? Yes. Sri, would you be sure to talk into your mic?
Oh, I thought that
She's
was,
she's having trouble here.
okay,
There's
I'll
such a
speak
soft
out
spot.
loud. I was almost touching the mic.
Hey, Sri, I have a question about the enforcement list.
Okay.
Okay, the date filed list for, which, there's 14 records here. Are those all accurate, or is that?
Oh, yes, I think I had a same question from another member. Because we updated to the BSNA system, which is a newer one, and then so they had to re-input the active enforcement issues in the new software, and then the date file was generated because that's the day the file was created in the software. But there are notes inputted manually to indicate when that was actually started.
Okay, so this is a one-time thing, right?
Right, I think it's just that they were updating the records in the new software.
Okay.
And then the report was automatically generated, so. Okay, is that okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions for Sri? Seeing none, we'll move to the Township Board report. Would you like to say anything about last night's meeting, for those of us who were there?
Well, just that we've been working on the budget. We spent a bit of time going over that, which preparing for the approval of it, but was the first review of it. So, yeah, it took a long time. That was pretty much it.
Was July left.
Yeah, long time.
Anything, questions for our board representative? Just FYI, we'll get onto it a little bit more in detail later. There is a line item for training for this group that we can spend and don't, generally speaking. And having a little bit of experience in the corporate world, I would not want to see our budget cut to zero or some lower number when somebody goes, well, they're not using it, let's fix a road with it.
I think we need more of your training budget.
Well, I understand that, but you get the point. So we'll talk a little bit more about training later in my comments, but I just wanted you to be aware there is money there for things for us to do, and I think we should do it. Just my personal opinion. Nothing else for the board report. Rick, do you have anything you'd like to offer from the ZBA?
No, we've not had a meeting since our last meeting, but we are having a meeting on March 4th, which is a continuation of a meeting we had back in November. No,
December.
December. Basically, it's a continuation of that meeting.
Any questions for our ZBA representative? Seeing none, do we have anybody to report from PDR at this point? Is there any appointment being made there, or does anybody from the board know?
So Shelley Bursick is a member of the board, it's on the PDR committee. And we did get the minutes.
We got the minutes, right.
So she's the board member. I just happened to have attended the last PBR meeting, but I can't really give you an update.
Okay. All of you did notice the minutes that were in your, does anybody have any comments or questions regarding them? Not that there's anybody here to respond, but anything we'd like to feed back to them from this group? No? Seeing none? We'll move on to the Natural Features Committee. Okay?
Yes, thank you. We have a new member of the Natural Features Committee because our supervisor was our previous chair before he was elected supervisor. And we may remember her. Her name is Jan Arps Bruno, and she gave us this. When we worked on the surface water ordinance, she came and she gave comments, and she lives in the Base Lake District. And we're looking forward to working with her because we do education and engagement and engaging the Base Lake residents in some of our activities. We also have a new chair. Her name is Cynthia Zuccaro. She's a former member of the Planning Commission before my time anyway. And we've been discussing the input we got from individuals and from this group as a whole for our website framework and making modifications. So that's it.
Any questions for our Natural Features Committee? Seeing none, we do not have a public hearing tonight, so we'll move to what's now item 14, old business article 14, stormwater management regulations. In your packet, we just got it. We got the council's input back. I apologize for it not being here sooner, but they didn't send the comments to us much there. So Sri, do you want to make any mention of the things that he sent to you? We assume that the blue is from our last meeting, correct?
Yeah,
Not any changes that have been made since the last meeting?
the blue are the changes from the last meeting. Based on the, sorry, give me 1 minute, let me just.
I think the blue is all the changes we've made, not just since the last meeting.
That's what I thought.
I think it's every change we've ever made, because we didn't, anyway.
Correct. And the strikeouts are the lawyer's comments.
The strikeouts, or the red strikeouts are the lawyer's changes.
Right.
Which then there's blue that he added.
Yeah.
So there's 2 different kinds of blue.
Well, that's where I was
I
coming
think-
from, yeah.
Okay, so for Article 14, the blue are the ones the attorney added, and the strikeouts are the ones the attorney struck out. And for Article 13 is the changes we are making to the existing ordinance. The attorney didn't have many changes other than the strikeouts.
So does that mean in section 1405, the attorney changed H, I, J, K, and L? I thought we did that.
Yeah.
No, he added those.
He added those? Yes. Oh,
Um,
wow.
Yeah, that's what she.
Okay.
So he added those just to emphasize the intent that's kind of hidden in A to G.
Okay.
But they're nothing new or addition, it's just to add more emphasis.
Wow.
I'll explain that. Right, yeah, like added in the memo, addition standards are added to emphasize the intent. The planning commission may choose to accept the suggested changes.
Well, seeing as how this is the first time we're seeing this,
Yeah.
does anybody, as we read through it on 1405, have any comments on any of his changes, his or her changes?
I do. In the interest of not having too large of an ordinance, I think H, I, and J are redundant of what we already said.
I agree.
And
assessments, because it says you can't, you know, like dump things into wetlands and
Right.
surface water. So I think that's included in their standards. And this is sort of general, anyway, I think it's included, so.
No, I agree, these changes are just to put emphasis. I only included them because he provided those recommendations, but I don't think they add any value to what you've already put together.
So we agree, commissioners, just to strike H through L and not add them back in?
Yes.
Anybody else, no problem with that? Okay. We agree to strike H through L in the changes. So, on 14-15, there's striking a change in A, but I don't know that it makes a huge difference on which way it's worded. It's minimal in my view. So we keep the change in A. Okay. He did add in B, effective at the time of the site plan application.
That's a good add, that's a good add.
And I thought that made a lot of
That's
sense.
a mispass, that's a good add.
Because if it happens after the fact, it's sort of like, now what do we do? Okay, good. Then we'll keep the change on B. Move down to C2. Again, it's just wording changes. I don't think it changes substance at all. Be okay with 2 then?
Yes.
Okay. Then he added 5.
Through Chair, when you
Yes.
say you're okay with 2, are we keeping the suggestion or keeping what we have?
Keeping the suggestion.
Thank you.
Number 5, anybody have comments on number 5?
Yes, I have a question. Is this needed here? Is it needed here? I don't know.
I don't either. Sri, what was his justification for adding that? Do you know?
I think that one we didn't go in great detail, but my concern with that was it runs with the land unless they change the use or they, do a different add more impervious, then it kind of it doesn't add much value, because what we're trying to say is there's a maintenance agreement and a site plan approval, and then as long as they didn't change anything, they have to comply with the stormwater management.
Do you think maybe he's protecting it legally?
I think
From
what he's trying to put the emphasis on the maintenance part of it, saying that, the plan stays with the land.
Right.
Unless you make changes, you have to comply with the standards with regards to the volume or the grades or anything.
I mean, I don't have any trouble keeping it, but I don't know that, in case sort of your point, it adds a lot that we would be involved with. Because if we're reviewing something in a site plan, then that language would be in the site plan about errors in future land use, not here, right? Or am
I think I figured. I think he's trying to, I think more than run with the land, the emphasis of the intent is to say that it is transferable to successful, future landowners and such. So it doesn't just, the applicant who actually got the approval is not the one responsible. Whoever owns the property is responsible for complying with the stormwater management. I think that's what he was trying to say. That change of ownership, the responsibility transfers with change of ownership.
Well, let's think about the LaFontaine property. I believe somebody else went through all the paperwork here, and then LaFontaine took possession of it after that, well, not correct?
Right.
So this other person
in this case, LaFontaine, because it's a special land use, we have the development agreement that covers the transfer of ownership, but if it were a permitted site plan which didn't require a site development agreement, then this would clarify the responsibility that any future owner has to comply with what's been agreed upon.
It avoids some of the issues we've had now with grandfathering.
Right, like the next owner cannot come and say, I never agreed to maintain a bioswale, or I never agreed to do this.
I'm fine with leaving it in then, I mean, if that's the goal.
Right, I think it does make sense.
They can usually hold the previous owner accountable for not informing them too.
Right, right. So commissioners, we agree to add 5? Okay. Thank you. The next correction I see on my copy is bottom of the page to remove the word steep. And I don't know why, because that's the description we've used throughout the document for steep slopes. So, seems to think it's redundant with 18%.
That's what he was going with. I think he did make some editorial revisions to the figures.
Commissioners, okay, you,
I think, I agree with you, we keep calling it steep slopes, and then we define how steep.
yeah,
So I don't see a problem keeping it if he was, but, I mean,
yeah, well,
it
that's what
doesn't
we're
change
on.
the meaning a lot, but,
No, but we're consistent in our language,
yeah.
so we're gonna keep the word steep.
I would take it out.
I'm okay, if it still
Take
means
it
the
out.
same thing, I'm
First, we've
okay.
got 2 takes out, 1 in building.
For me, in writing stuff, especially when I work for water resources, we would take out something that's subjective, and that's kind of subjective because what I think is steep and what you think are steep are 2 different things, whereas 18% or greater is well-defined, and that's the argument with it.
That's a good argument.
That's like saying the drain is bad. My idea of bad, your idea of bad, doesn't explain really what it is.
Okay. So we agree collectively to take out the word steep. On to number B at the top of the next page. I viewed these changes just as wording. It's like, fine if he's happy with it.
Sure, why not?
Anybody else got caught? Sure, why not? Let's just see. So we'll agree to the changes as covered in B with no other changes? Thank you. The next one on my copy is section 14.25, number 4.
I actually like this change. To me, it's more clear to me what it means. That's just me.
Yeah. We've had this discussion before. The only thing in there that I want to make sure we're clear on is what approving body means. Because we're a township engineer, and we've had this discussion in previous meetings. Are we,
Oh, right.
or the ZBA, the approving body, or, no offense, Sri, are you qualified to say, oh, that's fine, in lieu of an engineer looking at it?
But that's a good point. It says the approving body or township engineer. This is stormwater management, and it says it's site plan review, so the approving body would be us.
Right,
But here it says that the township engineer could do it instead of us.
right.
So, that's a good point.
If it's a minor amendment, then township engineer can make those approvals. If it's part of a big stormwater management plan, then you would be the approving body.
But that makes it a little confusing to say one or the other, right?
Right, it can be just unless authorized by the planning commission or the township engineer to keep it more.
Oh, I don't like the or anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I would just say by the
Approving body.
body.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I like it better than intent of circumventing the purpose of the section.
That's good to shoot bullets ahead of time, ask questions later.
So we're just ending after by the approving body,
Huh.
comma.
Yeah. So we're taking out or township engineer, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't, on my copy, I don't have any other changes on it. Yes?
On her list, there's a question under 14.25B on the front page. You said the current attorney asked or commented, why do runoff standards not equally apply to residential developments? So I thought that's because in site plan review, we ask about, we require some irrigation, we ask about it, and maybe in individual home sites, we don't ask about that. And that's why it's in here, because this applies to the site plan and not somewhere else. Is that true?
Yes, that's exactly what I told him, and he was content with the response.
Oh, okay, so these questions are not open questions on there. This one's closed.
Right. It was kind of closed after I sent the packet out, but okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Kate, for catching that. So 14.30. I see nothing else on this page that we made corrections to, or he did. 14.35. He had added, he noted on the memo that Washtenaw County Road.
You just get the abbreviation, not the whole.
Is that, everybody okay with that?
Because we defined it earlier.
Right. So that's in C, minor correction. On the 14.4 maintenance, he had just a wording change in number A. I didn't see any problem with the change.
Number 2 is new.
Well,
Number
2 is new.
Two.
Number 2 is new.
Yeah, that's not in there. It's not in that last month's. A2. Shall operate and maintain the facilities in compliance with all those organizations. That's a new statement.
Yep, it is.
So we got it.
He
Good catch.
probably didn't send it in track changes.
Huh? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I was muttering to myself. I was like, I'm trying to remember how I missed it.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you looking at 14.4?
14.4A2.
It's in the copy I have.
But was it in last
It's not
week's
in our-
copy?
it's not in
It's
our
not in
January
last
copy.
week's copy.
Oh, no, right, sorry.
So somehow it was added, he's right. It wasn't in our minutes as a change?
No,
No, that was added by the attorney.
we got that in there. Do we need the whole rest of the ordinance?
This is just for the maintenance agreement.
You just wrote a sentence that says, follows all the rules for everybody in the world.
But this is just for the maintenance agreement, so,
I have no trouble with adding it. Anybody else?
no.
Just wanted to point it out.
Good, Paul,
Good
thank you.
catch.
So, yeah, it's not in blue, so we're adding number 2. That's new verbiage. Okay, on to B, there's a lot of changes in B.
I think the establishment of the Washtenaw County Drainage District, he wanted to just keep it very simple, and then just reference to the Washtenaw County rather than repeating some of the things they have in reference to that. So the final sentence after you take off all the scratch outs would be like, the applicant may petition or request the office of the Washington Water Resources Commissioner under the authority of the Michigan Drain Code that the stormwater system become a county drain.
It's a little more succinct than what we have written, that's for sure.
Could you just read B2?
Yeah, we skipped B1.
B1, yeah,
I
we're,
think
we're still on B1.
B2.
Right, the same thing with B1 as well. I think he was trying to simplify.
I have a question about B2. So he added, in its discretion, the planning commission may recommend. So,
It's B1.
I'm saying B1,
Right.
in its discretion. So we follow the rules. Is that in our rules that we have the discretion to do that? I'm worried about that word discretion.
What is it saying is, as
Is it
part
true?
of, as a condition of the site plan approval, you definitely have the discretion over what conditions you can put on it.
I prefer condition. I don't know, does that word bother anybody else? If not, I'm okay, but as a condition. Oh, it does say, as a condition of site plan approval.
Right.
Do we need in its discretion? Anyway, okay.
Right,
Okay.
because
I just
the
don't-
discretion makes it
Yeah.
optional. If not, it would just say as a condition of the approval. I mean, the main also makes it optional. I think he was just trying to,
The planning
say
commission
that.
may recommend.
right, but, yeah.
Okay, if it doesn't bother anybody else, I'm okay.
Paul had a strange English word
Yeah,
thing.
that's at its discretion.
Is it at its discretion or in its discretion?
I would say at, but.
I would too, but
Yeah.
At.
change into at. That'd be good.
And at, I mean,
Just common usage,
Common usage, yeah.
yeah.
From in to at. Well, I mean, that's how most people would say it. For like Kay described, yeah.
In the third sentence, where it starts out, assessment district as provided by law consisting of then there's a cross out, and there's another so take out
One
one of those thes. And you see where it says, the next word is land? And then if you go down to the second to last sentence, where it's got when the properties, let's made up those words to the same word, either call them both, I think it should call them both properties, so that you're not calling it land in one sentence and properties in the next. Let's call them properties in both sentences.
Yeah, I think property is a better word than land.
Yeah, so I've changed land to properties.
The third, you okay,
In the third
commissioners?
sentence.
Yes, but I have a problem with that first sentence that he was talking about. It says consisting of the properties benefited by the storm management plan. Does the property benefit or the owner? We said the owner. Does the property
No, but
benefit?
it would be the property, because it's like we just talked about, regardless of who the owner is,
It
the
stays with
land,
the property.
it stays with the property, right?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Consisting of the properties benefited. Property or properties there?
It's properties.
Yeah, because it was plural owners, yeah. It could be multiple.
It could be like how we had owner's property and then S in the
Right.
parentheses.
Do you want to change it to that then? Do you think it's better to have property with the S in the parentheses? That, that would make more sense, because it wouldn't necessarily be properties all the time.
Probably would be if you do a special assessment
If
district.
you're doing,
And this is site plan review.
well, that's right. this
So
is
there
right.
will be properties all the time.
Yeah, so leave it plural, yeah,
Leave it
yeah.
blank.
third line, correct.
And omitting one of the thes.
Yes, in the third line.
For what it's worth, land can be plural, because you wouldn't say lands, you would say land, right, for multiples. So property and properties, I'm saying property can also be used as a plural. It's more than just one. Property and land, it's referring to, I don't think that property, I think property can be used the same as land as you're talking about an entity of ownership, if that makes sense. Now, properties doesn't sound right to me.
I think if different people own it, you would use it as
I'm just trying to, how it's reading is all I'm.
Yeah, land is a non-count now.
Right.
Sorry.
You know,
Yeah, you couldn't use it.
Martha brought up something interesting, which we might need to modify in the next to last line. The properties aren't failing to maintain themselves.
Oh, yeah, no, that doesn't work.
See, that's why she's sitting there. My right-hand person, literally. It probably should say something like benefited, properties benefited fail to be properly maintained or repaired.
Or are not
Correct.
properly maintained, might be
Right.
less awkward. When the properties benefited are not properly maintained.
Then we've got a problem with the last line too. We need to modify that.
I thought we were talking about the last line.
The last line starts with, mine starts with repair those improvements. So if we see properties benefited are not properly maintained or repair those improvements, it doesn't work.
I still think it's property, not property. Will be considered only when.
Let's get
I
over
think
it.
you're right, it still doesn't work. Yeah.
So
That's-
we need to reword that last line.
Do you have a proposal?
I'm getting there. It's cold outside, my brain's not working well.
Properties benefited. Yeah.
Do we need it at all? Can it stop after properly maintained?
Yeah, repair part of maintenance.
Yeah. Am I correct in my interpretation? Mr. Engineer?
Non-engineer.
There we are. Hey, you took up force in concrete today. I'm not allowed to call you an engineer. Or not properly maintained, period. I think that's adequate, if I'm reading the sentence as it's structured, right?
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that? Okay.
Can you read the whole last sentence then?
The sentence will, it starts on the third of the last line. Generally, a special assessment district will be considered only when the properties benefited are not properly maintained. We good with that? Thank you. We'll move on to 2. Kay, you had some questions on 2. B2?
I thought B2 was fine.
Oh, okay.
If he wants to make it shorter and just refer to them, that's fine.
Well, because it continued, there's a lot of strikeouts on the next page
Yeah.
too.
I know, I thought we tried to add more because, to make sure people are aware this was an option, but, we generally try not to repeat things that are in someone else's rules,
Yeah.
so. I'm okay.
ahead, Sri.
If you're done with 2, I have a comment for 3 before you talk.
We're not done with 2. At least it's quiet. We're all good with the strikes and the changes on E2? Okay, on to 3.
I think if that sentence might read a little bit better if he says any alternative to maintenance agreement.
Where are you?
So the third one says zoning compliance permit, and then alternative methods may be required to be finalized before any final zoning compliance permit is issued. I think there should just be a period after issued, because the building construction, the final zoning compliance permit typically is not issued even if there's a building part of the site plan. So it should just be before any final zoning compliance permit is issued. And then 2, the alternative methods that is being referred to here is not alternative to stormwater management plan, but alternative to type of maintenance. Like if they're doing anything other than a maintenance agreement, if they're going with any of those 2 options, 1 or 2, then they need to be finalized before the final zoning compliance is issued.
I get adding, or stopping it after issued. So what's your preferred, because you're correct, you'd have to have the permit before construction can start.
No, that's a final zoning compliance.
For compliance permit. So what's the other words you want to change?
I'm just putting this out for your consideration. The first one, alternative methods, that is referring to alternative options to a maintenance agreement.
So rather than methods, you want to change it to?
I'm just asking if that's clear that alternative methods is referring to the item 1 and 2.
No, not to me.
So I think that's why that needs to be clarified.
Look at the title of the section. As an alternative to a maintenance agreement, the applicant may wish to consider other means to ensure property maintenance is listed below. That's a zoning compliance permit. So that doesn't belong here at all as an option
No.
to a maintenance agreement.
No.
So
Yeah.
if you want that content somewhere, just put it somewhere. If you don't put it as number 3.
I think maybe we take off the zoning compliance permit side heading and then just say any of the above alternative methods may be required to be finalized before the final zoning permit is issued. Does that make sense?
I guess I had problems with the word methods. Are
It's
all
not a
these
method.
methods?
It's any alternative to a maintenance agreement
That makes
as
sense.
described above.
Yeah.
So it won't be 3, it'll just be part of the previous B?
It will be 3. We're going to strike off the zoning compliance permit title, and then we're going to strike off alternative methods, and then replace that with any alternative to a maintenance agreement as described above may be required to be finalized before any final zoning compliance permit is issued, period.
So when I
Or should we say shall be
read,
required?
any alternative to the maintenance agreement
Shall be required. to be
shall
fin-
be, not maybe, shall be required to be finalized before any final zoning compliance permit is issued?
Right, I think maybe he's putting the word maybe because sometimes some things might take time if it has to do with the county. Unless,
I mean, is that the words you want?
those are the words I want, but I'm just asking the PC to consider between may or shall. Do we want to shall require that it needs to be completed before final zoning compliance permit is issued, or may require? The approving body may require.
We don't have a requirement like in site plan review for that or anything? No?
Because in here, we're talking about creating a special assessment district or an establishment of Washtenaw County Drainage District. Those 2 are very specific to stormwater management plan, and they are alternatives to a maintenance agreement. Sometimes those 2 may take longer, depending on, the process and procedures.
So if someone does a development and then they sell those lots, can they make this maintenance agreement before all the lots are sold?
Maintenance agreement happens with the site plan, so they don't have.
With the site plan happens with the developer then?
Right.
Okay.
If only they choose the other two options, we just wanted, I think what he's trying to say is, if anybody chooses to do other two options, do we want to give them a timeline by when they need to finish it?
Yes.
And then, so part two of the question I'm raising is, do we want to give the timeline which is a hard, hard deadline, or something that can be revised if they are having challenges that are outside their control?
So that's where the word may rather than shall should be used.
Right.
If it says shall and then they have problems, can we extend it?
So if we want to say shall, then we would say unless otherwise permitted by the planning commission. Then they could come to you and then explain the reasons why it's taking longer and,
I'm fine with may.
I'm fine with May.
Okay.
That sounds too complicated.
Yeah.
I was gonna say is.
Any
For those
other
old left
verbs?
in the room, for those old left in the room, does anybody know the reference to? Okay.
Don't call that bullet 3. Just indent that statement, like
like the,
the same indentation as B starts as an alternative. So get rid of the 3 and just have that
Yeah,
there.
that's what I was saying earlier, but she wanted to keep it as 3.
Right.
I didn't follow.
It's not an alternative, it's
No, it is.
it's a statement regarding 1 and 2.
Right. So it now reads, any alternative to a maintenance agreement may be required to be finalized before any final zoning compliance permit is issued, period. Good? Great. It's just an indented paragraph. That's- Yes.
Part of B. I thought it was part of B,
Part of B,
not part of
not
J.
part of-
not part of-
it's part of
B.
B.
It's part of me.
Yeah, but it's not numbered.
Yeah, like the whole
That's-
first sentence at the top.
Yeah, but it's gonna go down here, where it is, like there. Just like this, we're in the same location. Okay. C, drainage easements. Couple minor changes at the bottom from our last draft. I don't have any trouble with either of them. Anybody else? Paul? No? Julie? Okay. And we'll leave those as corrected in C. On to 14.45, inspections.
I'm wondering if I need to go from the reference to 3.60, because we were trying to be helpful and
Yeah.
reference a specific section rather than say, look for it.
Right.
he didn't leave a note why he took it out, and I don't think we went over that.
Well, if you could check on that, please, because I agree with Kay, that was our discussion at the last meeting. We wanted to be specific so people don't have to hunt.
I think we can keep it.
So keep it. Okay. Makes it easy for us. Number B, I know why he struck that, because it was referenced earlier in the document, spelled out. Yeah,
What you're talking about reference earlier, it wasn't referenced in what the English language was referenced in. It was in reference in two. It was spelled out,
well, that's, he was just,
but it wasn't up here.
no, that's fine. The standard thing is, it's referenced the first time in the document, after that it can be abbreviated, but
Yeah, so it was referenced
if it
already.
is, if it's missed, nobody's gonna, it's not like the end of the world. 14.5, enforcement.
He struck that out because it's redundant, because we have the enforcement ordinance which applies to everything in the zoning ordinance, and then two, he wanted to take away the conflict that there might be some cases where Washington County may enforce it. So altogether, he thought that wasn't helping the ordinance and should be taken out.
And we would not be the first people enforcing that anyway, so.
For the most part. And then we do have the maintenance agreement, which covers the maintenance of it, so he thought that didn't,
Good to eliminate
it's
it.
not adding to
That
that.
makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. On the last page,
So I think this blue is changes you made after our last meeting, because we said we would clarify more, or are these his,
These are his changes.
these are his changes, not
But
yours?
we talked about it in great detail before he sent me a revised language. I explained to him the discussion we had, and then the concern we had, and then that was his. The reason why he took away the variance, because variance is always associated with ZBA, so we changed the title to waivers. And then there was also certain standards that come from the county rules, which we have no authority to grant waivers from. So he added some language to clarify that. And then with regards to the your guys' question, where does the appeal go to? We looked at the section 6.05, which talks about Board of Appeals, and that clarifies that, you know, if something is associated with a special land use or rezoning, you can't appeal to Board of Appeals. If it's a standalone site plan, you can appeal to Board of Appeals. So it's all listed in great detail in that section, so we decided instead of repeating it, we just refer to that.
so we're on to 14.50, the last page. Now called waivers from township requirements.
I do have one question. So I think overall, I can follow this, but the very first sentence says, no, the second sentence, the township board shall not waive or modify the Washtenaw County Water Resources rules, guidelines, procedures, or design criteria for stormwater management systems. So my question is, does this conflict with something in site plan review which says that upon written request of the applicant or on the initiative of the planning commission, any requirement of this section, and the stormwater is required in this section, may be waived by the planning commission, provided that such waiver does not adversely affect the standards set forth in this section or the rights of the public. So my question is, does that statement here, which says you can't change it, conflict with this statement in the site plan review?
Right, so that section, it refers to the modifications to make in Article 8, so which has to do with what can be submitted, what level of detail can be submitted, what are the requirements of the site plan. So it has nothing to do with waivers from any specific standards. It has to do with the site plan submittal requirements or the procedural requirements listed in that section 8.
But it does say that the applicant has to have the plan from, it lists the outside sources. It says on, in the site plan review on page 6 of Article 8, it lists other agencies. And it says the applicant shall deliver copies of these things. And it includes the Water Resources Commissioner.
Right, so if any clarification is required required, then it would be required amending the Article 8.05, where we clarify that, they can only provide waivers from standards that, that are not subject to outside agencies' requirements.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
My question is, why is the board involved in providing waivers?
The township board?
Yes, because if they are, and this holds, it would almost obviate the need to have any appeal in any area to the planning commission. So what it basically says is the board can override the planning commission. So if it applies and holds here, we have in other places in our ordinances where they come back to the planning commission, like, well, it doesn't matter. They can just go to the board. And the board, in their infinite wisdom, can say, well, the planning commission doesn't know what they're doing, we'll override. And then, that obviates the need for the ZBA. Because if they don't need to go to the ZBA for a modification and come to the planning commission, then we should dissolve this commission and let the board do everything. So I don't know that the board should have jurisdiction here, is my bottom line.
I think that could have been carried over because if you recall, the original discussion was, trying to have checks and balances. We said, okay, they can go to the board for something, instead of going to the zoning board of appeals, because if they go to the ZBA for variances, they would be subject to the hardship requirements, which may not apply to stormwater. So in that whole discussion, the existing language was referencing going to the township board. That may have been carried over when the revisions are being made. So it's a question for planning commission. You could reserve the right to modify the waivers as part of your stormwater application and delete township board from this.
So it's just a carryover, because we talked about this last time.
Because
It
it
was
went
written
through multiple
differently.
iterations.
Right.
It was written differently, and we said, why does it go to the board? And I asked the MTA, and they said, it depends on how the ordinance is
It's
written.
written.
So that's why what I was hoping to hear from the lawyer is, it has to be this way or not because of the way it's written.
Right.
So I agree that unless it has to be this way, because of something the lawyer said, I agree with Tom.
It's just sometimes, it's just for checks and balances. Some communities, when it comes to certain standards, they refer it to board. That could be one of those iterations that's in there. Like if it's a landscape, usually planning commission allows waivers from those standards because landscape that is not completely tied with, public safety or overall impacts to the neighboring places and all. But like you just mentioned, it's just based on how it's written in the ordinance. It doesn't need to be township board. So.
It seems confusing to me if we're not consistent for a reason. I mean,
That's a
unless
great
there's a
point.
reason to change it.
Well, that's where I'm coming from.
It's confusing.
We're changing our own rules
Yeah, as we go.
yeah, and like a manager told me years ago, consistency is next to godliness. And in the case of what we do here, if I'm an applicant or a resident, I think consistency is critical.
I think, yes, then if we should just remove references to township board and then clarify that the planning commission is the approving body for waivers or modifications.
Are we attempting to rewrite this tonight?
It's simple. It's,
Okay.
So could you say it again, you're gonna remove references?
so I can go through this.
Thank you.
An applicant may apply for a waiver or modification to the planning commission. An applicant may apply to the planning commission. So you remove township board and replace that with planning commission for a waiver or modification of standards or conditions. So Martha, for you, remove township board, replace that with planning commission, and then remove planning commission. then the second sentence, the planning commission shall not waive or modify. So we remove township board in the second sentence, replace it with planning commission. Or stormwater management decision shall be submitted by the applicant prior to and as part of
So
as
then-
part of the waiver request to the planning commission. So the last sentence where it says shall be submitted by the applicant prior to and as part of the waiver request to the planning commission.
Say that.
So, yeah, lost.
The last word, remove appeal application to the township board and replace it with waiver request to the planning commission.
So let me ask a question there. We have done our job on the first part of that paragraph. At that point, on the appeal, should it go to the ZBA? Because that's how I read that last sentence.
That's what we were talking about last time, is
Right.
should they go to the ZBA? And if not, what's the reason why?
Right.
They can go, I guess, based on the item B, which it refers to 6.05, they would automatically go to ZBA if you are removing the township board from that.
So at the end of the day, so it should stay planning commission instead of township board in the last sentence of A.
Right, because we're not talking appeal, I don't know why it
Okay.
says appeal, it should be waiver request to the planning commission.
Okay.
Can we like read a longer piece with the changes?
From the beginning?
Whatever, yeah,
You want me to read it?
yeah.
I think I
I'm
have
not
it.
following, so
I think I
thank
have
you.
it. Starting at A, an applicant may apply to the planning commission for a waiver or modification to the standards or conditions. The planning commission shall not waive or modify WCWRC rules, guidelines, procedures, or design criteria for stormwater management systems, period. Written approval from the WRC or whatever it is, as it relates to applicable stormwater management and design requirements, shall be submitted by the applicant prior to and as part of the waiver request to the planning commission, period.
Thank you.
On to the second paragraph.
In the second paragraph, we just replace wherever it says township board with planning commission.
Yeah, there are two instances of that I see, correct? The second,
Three.
Three,
Oh, no. Actually, the first one is just referring to the stormwater management.
correct. So in the second sentence, requirements, comma, the planning commission shall see that the spirit, and in the third line, at the end of that line, it starts the township board, and we'll replace that with the planning commission. Right?
Right.
Then to your point, number B is gonna solve the issue of bringing it to the Board of Appeals. Should it say zoning Board of Appeals?
I think our ordinance was referring to appeals to the Board of Appeals, so I think that's what he was. Article 6, section 6.04 or 05 says appeals to the Board of Appeals. I don't think we are referring that to ZBA in Article 6.
Okay, so we're changing it to ZBA, but it
No.
says.
No.
Leaving it as,
Because it's consistent with the section 6.05.
and it says may not be.
Right,
Right.
Be okay with all the changes? I know there's a motion in this draft, but you also know that I tend to be, since we don't have to push this one through for any time constraints, I'd like to see a clean copy of this at our next meeting.
We're not done yet. Sorry.
Did I miss something?
We have a whole other page.
Oh, geez, sorry, I
Sorry.
apologize. Yes, I didn't turn it over, never mind. It's Friday, it's been a long week.
Oh, the blues are all changes to the existing language. The only changes he did was those removals in red and striped. Everything else is what you had.
So the blue is not new,
No, it's,
only the strike-throughs.
I think the reason why it's blue and underlined, because Article 14, we are replacing that in its entirety. And this one, we are adding this to existing language. So,
Okay.
He also raised a question about this one, wasn't it? In your list? 13.12, attorney comment.
right.
So he says this might get us entangled in neighbor stuff. Did he mainly mean, I can see that for number 2, but the rest of them, I don't see that. Did he think this was the whole section, or just,
I think he was just, anything in that section, he was just prompting us to take a second look at it.
Thinking that it should be a neighborly dispute as opposed to the township. If something runs onto the neighbor's property, I should knock on my neighbor's door and say, pardon me, fix your thing. As opposed to,
It's actually drainage law, there's drain law regarding that.
so is he suggesting
And it's
that
civil action.
It's a,
we should not be involved in that?
yes. It's saying that because if we put it in our zoning ordinance, then the resident may prompt that it should be an enforcement action, but it is a drainage law, it's a civil dispute, so we shouldn't try to.
well, I think that's true then, that if it's in here, they would complain,
Right,
and then it would have to be an action, right?
right.
But Jeff is saying it shouldn't be that kind of action, it should be a different action. A civil,
Is he saying we should remove 2? Is that your intent, Sri, or his words?
His words are to just make sure that, clarify who's being responsible. If you want to keep it there just so they don't do that, we can keep part of 2 there and then make a reference to the drainage law and then take away the responsibility that determination is being made by a township engineer.
okay.
Any modifications to the site that cause surface or roof drainage shall not be a nuisance to neighboring owners or occupants, and shall be mitigated by the property owner according to the the drainage law. I'll get a right reference to that.
So take off the last sentence about the township engineer and add the drainage law.
Right. Since I'll be getting a clean copy, I can get the right reference in there.
Okay. So for tonight, we're just going to make a note to update the reference.
Should that reference the whole section though, that each one of those talks about the neighbors?
We'll take a look at that.
One, you can't, unduly burden.
That's true. Item 5 is also a big red
Yeah.
flag.
They all reference burdening somewhere else, so.
Right.
I can review and bring a revision for you.
Like in number 4, they're going to you for, it says to the zoning administrator for non-compliance. And like our current, previous, I don't know, how do you identify that?
No, I don't want to be there.
In order to want to, exactly.
So it sounds like a good idea to revisit.
Yes. Like,
So
leave
you'll
it
be-
in there as a caution, but not try to take the responsibility to get those fixed.
Yep.
So are you going to go back to him for clarification with the revisions, or?
Yeah, I think I can write up something and then just email that to him and say, what do you think?
Okay. Commissioners, we okay with sending that back to the lawyer for a re-review?
Yeah. Vision and re-review,
Okay.
sounds good.
Not the whole thing, right, just that section.
That, just that section,
Yeah, number D, correct.
Yeah,
All
D, all
of
of D, whatever you do to D.
Okay.
Yeah. So section 13.7, impact assessment.
There were no changes to the other two by the attorney.
Pardon me?
He didn't make any revisions to 7.70 or 13.75.
So these are okay from our last ones? Okay.
I do have a request for an addition to that section. Addition from our existing ordinance. So if you look at 13.120, see that first sentence in black? It's like the prologue or preview for that section. If you look at 13.75, the first sentence is included. For 13.70, there is a sentence before all those bullet points, and this sentence makes it clear that this is for site plan review. So I request that under B, where it says assessment issues, that you write those few lines that are actually in our ordinance that says that this is for site plan review. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Or, because then it's clear, this section's for single family, this section's for site plan, this section's for site plan. Remember, we had some confusion about that last time.
Right.
And then when this goes forward, it'll be clear to the board that 13.70 is for site plan review.
So we're not revising the existing language, you just
No.
wanted to add that as a reference.
Adding that as a reference from the original, our ordinance, just like we did in the other sections.
Makes sense.
Should the title of this just be slopes and not steep slopes, because you've talked about all the slope percentages?
If you want to be consistent,
And then take out in the third line steep and say
slopes.
more than 12% or whatever,
It
you
was
know, more than
18.
18, whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
18 or greater.
Mhm.
Is that confusing though? Because then it sounds like just a discussion of different slopes. I don't know. To me here, it is a focus on what kind of slopes, steep slopes.
Well, right, if you were doing this, how do you determine again what's a steep slope?
It's the numbers.
I
It's the
think,
numbers.
through Chair, if I may,
Yes.
we can probably just do what the attorney suggested before. The title where it says steep slopes, we can just say slopes over 18% or more. Or call steep slopes. If there has to be some reference, I think I agree. We haven't defined steep slopes. We are just calling it steep slopes, but we have to identify what are considered steep.
We didn't define it.
Yeah.
That was the change.
No, that was part of the Article 14. It's not a definition. So when somebody is looking at 13.70, they may not be looking at Article 14.
All right.
So,
We could just start like after steep slopes, that any slopes greater than 18% are considered steep, and an assessment would be required. So just an introduction
Okay.
before we
Yeah.
get into the standards.
yeah, that makes sense.
So take out steep and add that.
Yeah.
Can you say again what that addition is? Any?
I think we can keep the steep slopes. After the title, steep slopes, we would say any slopes greater than 18% are considered steep slopes. The steep slope assessment shall include but is not limited to. And then take away the steep word in the third sentence. So I'll repeat this. 14, steep slopes. All slopes greater than 18% are considered steep slopes. The impact assessment shall include, my screen froze, the rest of the words, and then we just take off the word steep. No, I think that's it. The impact assessment and then the rest of the sentence.
Okay.
Section 14.2 is development on steep slopes.
Right, and that's in a different article. Right now it's together, but in ordinance they're so far apart.
Yeah, like one second.
One article.
One additional comment to think about here is that when you look at the map for steep slopes, it's the yellow shaded area, it says slopes over 12%.
Oh, they
So
are?
we're gonna have confusion here before what we just said and steep slopes map.
Oh, so 12% versus 18%, you said?
Well, I'm just saying, the yellow area that's highlighted on the map is slopes over 12%, and the title of the map is steep slopes.
Which map are you looking at?
It's
Well,
the
look-
master plan.
Look
It's in the master plan.
It's,
Look at
page
page-
34, the,
yeah, of your parent package, it's page 34.
No.
We arrived at the 18, was it based on the language in the master plan?
So I think I think people consider 12 to 18% also steep slopes, but we said then for greater than 18%, you shouldn't develop it, right?
Right.
Right.
So 12 to 18% are also considered steep slopes. That's what we talked about in our master plan.
Yeah. But yeah, Paul's right, there were being
He's right.
inconsistent document to document.
Yep. So steep slopes are over 12%, but then we add the criteria, right?
I think that is good, because in Article 14, we're not calling them steep, we're just calling slopes over 18%.
Yeah.
So in this section, we can say slopes between 12% to 18% are considered steep slopes.
Well, anything over 12.
Anything over 12,
Grade-
right.
grade- yeah, grade-
Anything over 12 is considered, okay. I'll get it across.
Yeah, but in 14, section 14.2, it says development on steep slopes, so that can be confusing. Because you are kind of referring to it as that. That's the title of the section.
Good conflict, good. I think I get the intent. I'll, when I bring the clean version, I'll,
But Jeff's right on 14.2, should we
Yes.
back that off to 12% or greater?
to make sure that it's consistent.
Yeah.
So the, yes.
No.
no.
Change that.
No, because part of the sentence that it's talking about, it says, or in any area with existing, it says it shall, let me see, no disturbance or development shall be permitted, which is consistent with what you're talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then there's
Because
B.
under D in 10.07, when you're looking at it, which is in the natural features part, it says slopes more than 18% generally should not be developed. So that's consistent with that. And this is saying slopes of 18% or greater shall not be developed.
Right, but my concern is that our definitions again. Because
Right.
on the master plan, it's 12% is considered a
Look
steep.
at
But look at B.
B,
Yeah.
Yeah.
B talks about 12%.
Right,
That's on the steep slopes.
okay, so we're okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
So we're not changing
No.
that.
no.
I mean, we could cross-reference the 14 in here saying, any development with those slopes are subject to that standard. It's okay, don't get confused, it's okay, I got it, I'll,
Okay.
I mean, you could reference 14 and 13.7.
that's what I said, but I didn't want to confuse. I'll just add to the memo, the next
I think you should. Okay.
Yeah.
draft.
That's right. Go ahead,
When we're done with that, I have one additional request.
I think we're done with that.
Tree, in your description that you provide, and you talk about the context, in the very last, number 4 there, it says, address master plan recommendation
Mhm.
regards to steep slopes management. Could you add for site plan review? Again, that clarity of parts are this, are for site plan review only. And I think we wouldn't say just regards, I think we would say in regard to, or something like that. But the part I wanna, because we had such confusion last time about, we wanna be clear that we only added steep slopes management for site plan review.
So you want to add for site plan review at the end of that sentence?
Yeah. But then also, if you look where regards is,
It says in
it's
regards
not
to.
common usage,
Oh.
there's words missing. Recommendation in regard to steep slopes, or with regards to, or as it regard, I don't know. Anyway, there's a few words that could be added. Just to be clear about the steep slopes.
But it doesn't apply to the draft.
No, it doesn't try to adapt, but it's in the summary at the beginning, which the board will get too. So I just,
Well,
and
that's
we
right,
had,
they will.
and we had confusion about that,
Yep.
so to help them.
Why? It's his job. That's why he's sitting there.
Yeah, I think I pay attention.
So we're back to the last page again, correct? We're down to 1375. Am I correct? Thank you. And you're saying that he did not add number 8?
8 is ours. It was part of the public hearing draft.
Okay. Yep, you're correct. It's a carryover from our last draft. So we're done with this, correct? I would like to see a clean copy. And as a result, I don't think we need to make a motion tonight, correct? Commissioners? No? We're going to postpone it, but we don't have to make a motion. They do.
It's under business item, so.
Oh, that's right, it's a business item. Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move to postpone review of stormwater management regulations 23 ZTA 02 for the next meeting.
Second.
Can you repeat it, please?
I move to postpone review of stormwater management regulations 23 ZTA 02 until the next meeting.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Julie?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioners, for your fine work on that. On to new business. In your packet, you have a draft of the annual report. It doesn't look like we did a lot, but those of you who were here remember how much we enjoyed working on the annual reports. So I hope you had a chance to review it. I did review it with Cherie. She provided, since I was not a part of the various committees, she updated that information on the dates and the number of people who attended. Did anybody else catch anything that she did not? Yeah, okay.
On the second page, so it's 12 of 39 under goal status update.
Yep.
Number 3, it says, consider any items designated for 2023 and 24 and complete the 2 that are selected. So the coal tar, we actually finished that the township board finished that on 10/17/23, which is not in the window of this report. So I'm on 2024 goals update.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that that should be removed because that was not completed in the time frame of this report. It should have been in our last year's report.
Oh,
It feels like
Yeah,
It's not accurate.
so we'll remove that, okay.
Remove that, and there's one more. Article 16, where it says Phase 1 is completed, that implies that we completed it in this time frame. But in fact, Phase 1 was, past tense, completed in June of 2023. It was not completed in 2024. I have the,
No, I get it. That was just for context. It wasn't meant that it was completed this year.
But
So you
using-
wanted to say completed in 2023.
I want to use the past tense, so
Right,
say
was-
Phase
was-
1 was completed in
Oh.
2023, if that's for context.
Yep, it was.
And then
To
I
give
put,
context to the 2020, Amendment 2,
yeah.
or Phase 2 rather.
Yeah, and then it seems like keeping of animals, I know we worked very hard on it, but it seems to be listed twice. It's listed under number 2 and number 3. The very last thing under number 3
Yeah,
is keeping of animals.
so drop it from number 3. Good, yep. Happens when you look at something too many times. Anybody else have anything, comments, updates? There was a comment, I think, that Paul or somebody had made on page 14 of 39 on the review meetings, both the date, March 17th, and with Ted.
Oh, yeah,
Was
that was
that,
me.
was that you? Yeah, okay.
And so can we add Ted Erickson as a team member? And that one, so there were meetings sometimes with Sri and Ted and sometimes with all of us, but that one on March 17th, that was a Sunday. So can we take out the with Ted? And maybe you guys talked on Sunday,
I
but
think we spoke on a Friday a couple of times.
yeah. But can we just take out the with Ted and just list the dates and then add his name in under the participants? Township
So
engineer.
we're adding member Erickson?
Or township engineer, Ted Erickson?
Yes.
And then, so we would change that, let's see, 17th Sunday would be the 15th.
15th would be the Friday, and take out the with Ted,
Yeah, okay,
and they're just all dates.
got it. Anything else?
Really need that. Next day, March 18th, we meet on Friday.
No, Sri and Ted talked on Friday, and then we met.
Okay.
I do have one question about the goals,
Yeah,
just for clarification. On number 5, it says initiate discussion for the 2026 master plan update.
correct.
So according to the state, we're due to review it in 5 years, which is 2027, and we usually start a year ahead.
Right.
So I'm just asking you, could you clarify, is 2026 the beginning of the process or the end?
Beginning,
The beginning.
that's why it says initiate.
But initiate discussion for the 2026 master plan update, to me, implies we're going to finish the update a year early.
Well, so you want to say 2027?
I think, remember Kay talked to me about that recently. I think that I may have counted the number of years wrong because I was in my head thinking about the other master plan discussions that have been coming up. Are you suggesting that should it be there?
No, I'm just confused about the date. Our master plan was approved by the board in 2022, and 5 years later is 2027 to finish.
Correct.
But normally you would start the year before,
Correct.
so we're are we gonna prepare to initiate the discussion for the master plan in 2026? Or
No,
we're gonna finish it?
no, it is my hope to begin to engage you folks as we go through stuff, start making notes in the master plan. So when we get to the time when we need to work on it, we're not up against a hard date. And that's based on X number of years here, watching how long it takes this group to get through anything and get it to the board. And if we can at least make, I was gonna put it in my comments later, but since you brought it up now, begin to make notes, because you forget, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, I forgot to mention that last month. But if we begin a little bit early and go, oh, yeah, I'll make a note with a sticky note in the master plan, because I think that's important. When we get to the point where we actually start delving into it, we'll have those notes in our good pockets.
But our intention is to finish the master plan review in 2027.
Correct.
So to me, it would be more clear to me if we called it to initiate the discussion for the 2027 master plan update.
Yeah, so we just changed it to 2027, okay.
Thank you.
That's fair.
I'm all good then.
That's fair.
I understand.
Anything else? I will get it updated and bring it back for our approval next month. Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate your input. And as I always say, your hard work. And also under new business, Article 16, Phase 2, Scope and Priorities. I have a comment or two.
About the tables or in general?
In general about this. And it was one of those things as I was going through the draft, and it sort of gets to the steep slopes only in a different way. And I wonder, on two general topics as we review it, this document. Are the things that are in here enforceable? Because just like we talked about in stormwater management, are we in a position to administer and or enforce things with this? And the other, and slash, as a result of that, is it overreach? And again, it's only as I was going through it, I'm thinking, you know, protection for wetlands on less than 5 acres. How do we write that to protect that? I get it. I know. And that's why I said, is it possible? And somebody, you know, it's in there pending not fit. So that's where I was coming from as I read through these. Maybe some of them are not things that actually make sense. So that, go ahead.
Thank you. I was hoping to just give a 3-minute sort of overview of our existing environmental ordinances. So that we sort of have a feel at a high level for how was this put together, and then we can use those ideas to talk about these other ones. So I wanted to first talk about water quality. So in Webster Township, except for a relatively small number of houses in Loch Alpine, we all have wells. We access groundwater. And groundwater is a common resource, right? It doesn't just sit under my land or someone else's land, it spans many properties. So it's a common resource, and if we look at the master plan, it looks 20 years ahead. And we say we would like to retain our rural character, support farming as a sustainable long-term activity, and protect our rural natural features infrastructure. So groundwater is pretty critical to all that, right? And it's a common resource. And just a quick definition, in our ordinance, we talk about groundwater recharge areas, and that's the land of the surface land above the aquifer. The water's in the aquifer, the land above it is where water can enter. So we talk about protecting those groundwater recharge areas. Also then, surface water and wetlands can interact with groundwater, so they can be part of water quality. So the other thing that's our rural infrastructure is stormwater management. So our stormwater management basically consists of a few ditches next to roads and then natural features, woodlands, grasslands, trees, bushes, and surface water and wetlands. So just like groundwaters, rivers flow, they're common resources. And wetlands over 5 acres regulated by the state typically span more properties. So these resources are critical to protecting the health, safety, and welfare of our community and supporting our goals. So it really strikes me that these are the 3 things that were chosen. They're really important and they're common resources. So the ordinance that we have takes each one of those things and puts it in an overlay. And an overlay is a zoning tool that overlays the whole township zoning map, which means that whatever guidance is put in there applies to every single landowner and every single zone. So anything that you put in this kind of overlay should be darn important. And also the guidance should be practical and easy to follow because it applies to everyone. So in surface water and wetlands, the focus is mainly on buffers and setbacks. And for groundwater protections, it's in the form of saying these are higher risk uses and therefore prohibited in groundwater. And many of these are really more commercial in nature, but some of them could apply to home-based operations. So I just wanted to sort of have that overview of, I think that's pretty powerful. They didn't choose just anything to put in these ordinances. They're all common resources. And so I think it's important because they may have an impact on our goals and safety. And when we're looking at these master plan items, they are big things. So we're really looking at what could have the most impact. We're not looking for tiny things, I think. Any thoughts on that? I think, did we all get that already? To me, it's pretty powerful that they only chose these kinds of things for these overlays. So I think we should be careful not to willy-nilly have overlays. Really think about what's important. Okay,
So,
are we ready to dig into each item or no?
I think so. Commissioners,
You want to talk about each item?
I think that would be a good thing, go through each item
Okay.
and
So,
take a look and make some notes.
okay, so let's look at page 19. There's 2 tables there. So the tables, at the top of the table, there's the master plan item. There's the current status, which is from our tracking list. And I did talk to a number of people, but I went in there and jumped in and put a proposed status change. This is, of course, all up for discussion and decision by the Planning Commission. I only did that because I think it's easier to make a decision if there's some sort of recommendation to say, yes, we accept that, or no, we want to change it. And then after that, I tried to provide a brief rationale. I looked back when we put these items in the master plan, we wrote rationales for each one of these, and they were like 4 pages long for each one. So I'm really trying here to be brief. So the first one is to consider updating the zoning map and amending the zoning ordinance to provide for a natural features protection overlay district with use and development considerations to lessen development impacts on natural features. So what I'd like to start with is the fact that we already have a natural features overlay. And in the packet, on page 35 of 39, I show you that overlay, or it's in the packet. This overlay that we have is used by the PDR committee for communicating land preservation priorities. So this map shows the hatched part. The hatched areas are the natural features overlay, and then they give some context in the township. In 2014, when the residents said we want to preserve both farmland and natural features, the committee needed a way to communicate priorities. And so this map is basically used to say, remember, it's a voluntary program, but if someone applies and they have land in these areas, to please think about preserving whether there's natural features. So this overlay, you can see, is just a part of the township, and the way this was formed was the Huron River Watershed Council did aerial photographs over Oakland, Washtenaw, Livingston, Wayne, Monroe, the whole watershed, well, not all of it, a couple 100,000 acres of the watershed. And they looked for certain characteristics, and then with the University of Michigan School of Natural Resources, they did these rankings. And these things in our natural features area have a high priority ranking. So what they look at: size, wetlands, okay, wetlands, rivers or lakes, groundwater recharge areas, and the potential for the site to have high diversity. So this kind of approach is used by other communities too for land preservation. And it makes sense, and our committee uses it for that purpose. But the master plan item here is to say, oh, could we use that for an additional purpose, right? Are there any questions about this map before I talk about what would that additional purpose be?
See, this is where I get to my earlier comment. Since we have site plan reviews, and since we have water management reviews, does this apply to us at all? Do we, as a planning commission,
This
need to
map
do
currently
anything?
does not apply to us.
Right,
But the proposal for this master plan item is that we could add it.
but,
So, but
but we
My-
don't have any jurisdiction to do anything with it. We can't stop anybody from cutting down a tree.
so this is.
It's on private property.
This is my point exactly. So if you look at the things in here, so it's totally different than our overlays. It
Yeah.
takes this one area and it slaps on these additional restrictions. And that's
Right.
not what we do. We say anywhere there's this feature, there's a restriction. Also, we already have ordinances for wetlands and surface water
Right.
and groundwater. So this is primarily, how did this get in here? It's a best practices, but usually it's used by communities that have much more development than we do, like Webster Township.
Right.
They have extensive city services, urban density, and commercial area, and a very small amount that's left as rural area. And so they use something like this to preserve what's left of their rural area.
Right.
So that's why I really think this does not add any value for us. There's no added value here. The concept is, it would be like adding an orange to our apples. So I think there's no reason to adopt this.
Careful. I'm gonna guess here, but when we do land preservation, does the township get points for having something like this in their ordinance?
We're gonna keep it,
We're
no.
gonna keep it, like I think you're throwing
We're
it
gonna
out.
keep the map. We're gonna keep
That's
the
a-
overlay the way it's used for the
I
PDR.
think I totally pitch it.
No, we're just not
Okay.
gonna add it to our zoning ordinance.
Okay,
Right.
right.
We're gonna leave it exactly the way it is, and they're using it effectively.
I think that makes sense. Commissioners? Yeah, when you put in non-fit,
So is that the best word? That it doesn't add value, or it doesn't fit? Doesn't add value? I mean, we do encourage some of these things we don't do. We encourage cluster, but we don't require it. What's the best wording? Not, doesn't add value, doesn't fit,
I like doesn't add value.
doesn't add value. Okay, you good with that one?
Yep.
Next one's short. I mean, so if you want to, the state protects wetlands 5 acres and greater. If you want to add 2 acres, again, what kind of communities usually do this? Those that are much more highly developed than we are, that have already developed urban density and they don't have many trees left. So, or I'm sorry, they're wetlands, they want to protect them, I'm on wetlands. So I think it's really confusing because you would have to have a separate ordinance for this 2 acres that would be administered by us, and then also the one for 5 acres. That seems totally confusing to me. So I think if we just do a good job with the 5 acres and above, that's great. And then the trees, again, people who have this, who want to have permits for cutting down trees, they've already developed a lot of their area, and they
Right.
don't have many trees. I think that has no value for us.
Well, I don't know how you stop them from doing it anyway. If I have a farm and it's on 20 acres and I got a tree and I want to cut it down, I can get on my chainsaw and cut it down. I don't care how many 100 years old it is,
Well,
and who's going to stop me from doing it?
we also have people who sell their trees to be cut down.
Right.
And so, do we want to, I mean, that's a normal thing to do. We have a lot of
I don't
trees.
think we belong in the middle of it.
So, I think, to me, that's just, that's not fit for us.
Commissioners?
Agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Thank you. Moving on to page 20.
Okay, so now for this one, I gave you an addition, and I'm just gonna highlight a few things. So back in, I gave you this addition, and it's highlighted on the top. Did you get one, Jeff?
Know that I did.
Okay. I have one. I might have missed you in my mailbox, in your mailbox. I'm sorry. So, back in 2021, when we assessed things and put this in the master plan, we looked at this. And when I say we, I mean Chris Olson from the Watershed Council, myself, and our previous planner. And the bottom line here is we have an ordinance that is not being used as intended because there's significant gaps in the information that's provided that would allow anybody to actually use it. So the groundwater protections, we've had this ordinance since 2011, and the protections are based on EPA guidelines, and there's a sample ordinance. So 60% of our ordinance is from that. But what's missing is, so they talk about high risk uses and prohibited uses, and it looks like to me like someone cut and pasted things, but the number filled in all the connections. So what's missing here, we thought there are a couple key questions. So if you're going to protect groundwater recharge and you're prohibiting certain uses, like you can't have a fleet of trucks, you can't have a machine shop if it's truly a resource recharge area, you can't have wood preservation, treating, you can't have mining, okay? So these are the kinds of uses. So the first thing you need to do is assess, is whatever use is proposed from a site plan or a home-based occupation, is it on this list, yes or no? The second thing you need to do is know, does this land that's proposed have a groundwater recharge area? So if you look at the fourth page, I give you the current map. It says Article 16. It says groundwater protection overlay, and there's the lakes shown, and then there's some light green blobs there. Those light green blobs are called highly sensitive areas. They're actually based on the county map of the recharge areas. So the light blue areas are the recharge areas. So can any of us determine from this map whether there's a recharge area on your property? Only if you happen to be very far away from one of those green blobs, right? There's not enough detail here to use this map. So at the time we were working on the maps for the master plan, so the last page is a map that shows the lot lines, okay? So the goal is to say, can we tell if there's recharge areas on a given property, yes or no? So we did all this because we believe there's a way to set up a decision tree. First, what is the use? Is it on the prohibited list or not? If not, where is it? Is it on a recharge? No. If the answer is no to both, you're done. If it's a prohibited use and it's on a property that doesn't have a recharge area, then you're okay, right? So it's to create a decision tree. And all this information is lacking in the ordinance, but we went through all this to see, can it be fixed? And we believed it could. We believe that the missing information can be put together so that it can be easily followed. The goal would be so that no zoning administrator or resident or planning commissioner has to be an expert in groundwater to follow this. To do that, we would need to collaborate with some experts to get this in shape, just like we did for the stormwater management, right? We have an experienced and skilled planner. We have a township engineer. We have contacts with the experts at the Watershed Council and the Water Commission. So I think the point here is this ordinance cannot be reviewed. It is not being used as intended, although groundwater is important. And that's because the ordinance is missing significant pieces of information to make it easy to follow. So is this something we should address?
I agree that it's missing things, but it gets back to my initial comment. Is Webster Township, anybody, in a position to create an ordinance that we have any impact over? Because, as you reference here, it defaults regularly to some other expert body to determine whether or not we can.
I misspoke then. I think for the basic questions, we can determine it. We need help to create the map to allow us to say, recharge area, yes or no. Prohibited use, yes or no. If someone is actually proposing to, in a recharge area, to do something, then that would need to kick to a higher level of review.
So you're suggesting that in a site plan review or in one of her?
I would say it would have to be a site plan review where the applicant has to bring in experts to determine the edge of that. But this would be rare. This would be rare. The idea is that if you look at this map, what 10% of the township maybe has recharge areas on it. And it's not every commercial use that would be prohibited. It's only specific ones. So the idea is to prevent the highest risk uses right on top or too close to those recharge areas. So I think we need experts to set up the ordinance, but for the vast majority of cases, we don't need the experts to follow it.
We need an ordinance or a list?
A list of what? We have a list of prohibited uses,
Right.
and we can look yes or no. The second question is there a recharge area on that land? So we need a map.
Right.
And from that, we can do most of it.
Well,
Other
let me go
communities
into
have
on the
one.
bottom. So questions. I know, I get the idea. I understand water. I have a septic system. But like one of the things here is prohibiting bulk feed and fertilizer outlets.
So actually,
I mean, if we are, as we pretend to be, a rural community, and a farmer brings in a load, and since we have now, what is it, cooperative farming things like Washtenaw Meats, and I don't know who else they're in bed with, to collectively do their farming to offer to the public. And one of them orders bulk food to be distributed amongst their members. Unless Paul drives down the road and goes, hey, they've got 3 tons versus 2 tons that they're allowed. I'm overstating the case to make my point. How, so what?
so maybe I also didn't explain that part. So in this one, these notes at the bottom,
Yeah.
these are, since we've talked about this ordinance multiple times, these are just comments people have made. This does not mean we should do all these things.
Oh, so where did the comments come from?
So the comments came from people who reviewed this, but we still would need to go through them.
Oh,
So
okay.
we talked about this in 2021. In 2023, we thought we were going to proceed with phase 2. So we prepared, but never talked about it. So this list of notes is things, so some of them are our previous planning commission chair, our previous planner from 2021. So this is just an idea of some things that have been suggested. It doesn't mean we should do all these things.
Okay.
So for the groundwater, I think the most useful thing is my list of, there are gaps, but we believe they can be fixed.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was misreading this.
No, I didn't
Holy
explain
mackerel.
it, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I
well-
did not explain that. So if it's not being used as intended, and the thought is we can fix it, and other communities do have local groundwater ordinances, should we engage in this?
Commissioners, she and I have been talking a lot. I'm sorry. Anybody else want to chime in?
The only thing that I see with this is, I mean, we're talking about businesses mostly that would be doing impacts. Now, I grew up here. I think a lot of us are originally from here, spent a lot of time here. I knew honestly, there were a lot of farmers that had, or have still, storage tanks. And some of that stuff, it's gonna be, I mean, they're in situations or in areas that this was always the case. That they may be in these protected areas, that's not something that's happening. Otherwise, when you start talking about industrial stormwater, there are regulations with regards to that. And we only have certain industrial sites here that are in that one corner where La Fontaine is. The other stuff is gonna be, as you mentioned, with farmers, things like that, when we're talking about protection. Other than bringing awareness that these are recharge areas, I don't know that there's anything other than the awareness to bring to people that we can say with it.
But right now, we have an ordinance. We pretend that we are regulating groundwater protections. Is that okay?
I think it's okay. I mean, it's good to do it. I'm just saying that I think I don't know how you do it. Let me put it that way. I don't know how you do it with what's out there and what we see with regards to that, other than, I mean, there's county programs for it, but it's mostly for businesses when you look at regulating and protecting the wetlands. I don't know how the township can do it. That's the biggest thing.
So I would say then that we should evaluate this, and if we can't do it, we take it off the books.
Agreed.
Well, and that's where I was sort of, as he was
Yeah.
talking, I'm thinking, this is actually an ordinance
But we
more than
can't
something else.
use.
Yeah.
Think back as long as you've been here, all the plans we've reviewed and done, do you believe any of them violated what you know about this section?
So in site plan review, I looked at this when we did La Fontaine. So I'm pretty confident in site plan review. So if there's commercial applications that require site plan review, because they're in the commercial or industrial, I'm darn sure we would look at this and evaluate this.
But I did too, and they're not in the groundwater recharge area.
No, they weren't.
So,
No.
it didn't apply.
It didn't apply, but the way it's written, it would also apply to home-based, could apply to home-based occupations.
We don't review those. I get it, it's an
Okay.
ordinance, but we don't review it, so we wouldn't be aware of that. And my question was, are you aware of any site plans that we let slip past this?
No,
Okay.
but the previous zoning planning person is the one who highlighted this originally, that it really can't be followed the way it's written.
Okay.
So even if we say this isn't right, even if we say we want to focus on businesses, then the ordinance should be fixed so that could be possible.
I think that might be the correct course, that we rewrite it.
So, and it's in home-based businesses, I mean, which we're going to be reviewing.
Yeah, so in home-based businesses, there is a reference, I wrote it in here, where it says, it says in 5S, no hazard or fire, explosion, radioactivity, or chemical release may pollute the air, surface water, or groundwater. What it does not include is a specific reference to Article 16, which we've been putting in our zoning ordinances. So, so if we think it shouldn't apply to that, but only commercial site plan reviews, then we should change it. So, and then there's still missing information, but then we would be able to follow it.
Kay knows this, because at our last meeting, we had agreed to go to a couple resources. And I did reach out to the MTA, and while they have guidelines, they do not have a way to provide counseling on an individual township basis. So they just don't have the bandwidth to help us. And I said, so what do we do? They go, well, when we put on a seminar, you can bring all your people to the seminars. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not good fiscal responsibility, right? So anyway, they're not of much help, but Kay, you had talked to, who was it? Wasn't the watershed council, it was somebody else.
Are we talking about stormwater? Are we
Well,
talking about groundwater?
But yeah,
So I know that, I've been reading the Dexter, so I know there are other communities, and I can pull out examples. The Dexter Township, they have in their master plan that a specific instruction to add a groundwater management ordinance to their ordinance in 2027. And there are some other communities that have them. I didn't pull them up or bring them. But that doesn't mean that what they have would necessarily totally fit us. And
maybe Sheree could, in her spare time, look up a couple ordinances that are sitting in surrounding communities. So we could,
so I could do that and send them to her if she doesn't have time, too.
If I may.
yeah,
Okay, I think I'm getting, okay, correct me if I'm misunderstanding you, but I think I got it. So the current ordinance says, the groundwater protection overlay is hereby superimposed on current zoning districts and shall apply to all new construction, reconstruction, or expansion of existing buildings and new or expanded uses. So just based on that statement, it feels like all the requirements in the ordinance would apply if somebody comes in which on a property that falls within the groundwater overlay boundaries to apply for an extension of their house, expansion of their house, this would apply. But it hasn't been consistently applied to any of the zoning permits by my predecessors or by me consistently, because the map that's in the zoning ordinance doesn't have the property lines overlay. So this one, which is clearly, looks like it applies to every property in Webster Township, hasn't been easy to administer. So what Kay's asking, I think, is that we either clarify that it doesn't apply to independent, it only applies to site plan reviews or special uses or residential developments or, home-based licensed businesses, like, large impactable uses, so that an individual homeowner doesn't have to go through the burden of trying to comply with this ordinance.
Yeah, that we should do something.
So you
that-
either clarify
that's an
that
option.
applicability, you either clarify the applicability, or if you feel like it applies to everything, you clarify the standards. The easy one would be clarify the applicability, because individual homeowners may not have resources to provide the information needed or to pay for our consultant to review what they provided. So that statement needs to be clarified. The applicability of that statement should be clarified so that it only applies to larger residential developments or whatever the planning commission thinks it should apply to, and then simplify.
And then add information so that that can actually be implemented, because there's other things missing too.
So our objective with this section on page 20 is to clarify that section as it applies to other ordinances, so we have the correct references.
But it's
And-
more
and-
than that.
and overlay that. Well, I'm trying to parse it into easy to digest
Okay.
things.
First piece, yes, clarify applicability. Second piece, make sure all the information is in there to actually implement it for whatever the applicability is, like the map.
Right, well, that was going to be my next
Yeah.
comment. We need another map, or revised map.
Yeah. And there's also some instructions missing
Right.
too.
Do we agree, commissioners, that that's the direction we want to take on this portion of Article 16?
Yes.
So next steps for that portion. Kay, do you envision a committee working on this, like other things, or what?
So I would propose again, the same committee we had, unless
Strong.
they don't agree. Well, we had a phase one committee first.
Right,
No, our phase one committee for Article 16 was Rick, myself, and Sri. But it's up,
No, I can do that.
well, Rick, are you okay with that, or do you want to? And don't take this the way it's going to sound. Is there a way to get an expert up front
oh, so,
involved,
yeah.
as opposed to people sitting around the table going, well, I think, and then 3 months later, we don't have an expert review, then like with the lawyers, we get an expert review, and all of a sudden, we're delayed for another 2
So
months.
I think like stormwater, we formed a team, we, the team, contact the other, ask Ted Erickson, the township engineer, we can talk to, we can look at the county, so we, the team, should try to identify what experts do we need, and try to collect some information, and not come back every month to the planning commission, wait till we have some milestone.
Are you guys
Does that
all okay
sound-
with you?
Yeah, that's okay for a comprehensive amendment, but the two quick amendments that could fix the concern is one, revise the applicability, and then two, update the map. Those two should fix at least, take the
There's one more
houses
thing.
away from.
There's a big problem with, it says that if there's a boundary dispute, so it gives no instructions about how to determine the boundaries. And then it says the zoning administrator and the township engineer have to resolve this boundary dispute.
That's what I was referring to, one, applicability, and then two, updating the map, and then item F would be revised.
Would be what kind of review? It would be more like site
At
plan
least
review.
doing those two would at least fix the bigger problem, and then getting into the detail, trying to get the training, getting the experts involved, that could be a larger amendment. It would take time. I meant to say that's gonna take some time.
So the stormwater management took us some time too. So, I don't have a problem with calling in some of the experts to see, so we can see what that looks like.
Got to start somewhere.
We gotta start somewhere, and stormwater management, so it took us a while, but it worked out, right? It's something we can do step by step. So I think we should do something, and I'm pretty open to what that is, but what we have right now just totally doesn't work.
Okay, you guys okay doing that, and we're forming a committee? Thank you. So let's move on to page 21 and 39.
I'm sorry, I just need
No.
the two or three things, clarify applicability, and,
The map.
but it's not just the map, it's also the review thing. So clarify, it was two things. So the map and the boundary review. Okay, thank you. Okay, next one. I think this one's pretty straightforward. I'm focusing on, it says, update 1610. So we have the three pillars, our overlays in Article 16, and we have one section that has to do with site plan review. And this is the section that has the natural features impact statement, protections, mitigation plans, and we just need to look at it and update it. I mean, we just added steep slopes to the stormwater, so we need to look at, basically we need to make sure that we have all the information we need from the applicants regarding natural features. So I think we need to look at it and update it as appropriate.
This applies only to the site plan reviews,
This
correct?
only applies to site plan review.
Which probably needs to be, because this one says when natural features exist on a new development or private road proposed for site plan review, the applicant shall be required to complete the following. So I think we need to revise that too, the
Okay.
private road part.
Okay, yeah. Whatever is in there that we think needs to be updated. So,
So Sri, are you looking at it as a first draft with that? Or do you want the committee to get the?
I think after, my only request to the planning commission is after you go through all the list of items that you think should be amended, to at least give us some guidance about the priority and the timeline of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I think it just gives us a good sense of, how fast we should be moving at it or what pace should we moving for it, because I don't have any site plans on the horizon coming.
Okay, makes sense. So is there anything we want to discuss there beyond, it's a site.
I know, so we're gonna review it and see what we need to update. I think that's a pretty high priority because we just updated the steep slopes and we just wanna make sure that what's in there is updated.
Right, I just want guidance.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So the next one, page 22, this would be steep slope protection for everybody. So I asked myself, does this meet our high standard of saying, is this a common resource? And I think the answer is, if there are steep slopes close to waterways, and the erosion from those steep slopes, if you mess them up by taking off all the natural features, it can impact the waterways. Okay, so and the waterways are the common resource. But can we develop practical protections that everybody can follow? I really have no idea. So my thought would be either we discuss this further or we say we added it to site plan review and we'll just leave this as something to be considered in the future. The part for everybody.
Don't we already have buffer protection on all waterways?
We do.
It covers steep slopes,
Yeah.
is in that.
But it would have to be really close to the waterway then. It would have, the buffers are like 25 feet. So sometimes people have buffers that it's a little bit further away if it's a steep slope. So some people do this, but because we would be saying for everybody to follow it, it would have to be pretty simple. And I'm really not sure it's that simple.
When I read it, my note in the margin was part of site plan review, because that's where it's gonna get caught.
It's already in site
I
plan
know,
review.
so what's the purpose of rewriting the ordinance if we've got it covered?
So there's two things, site plan review or everybody. The question here is, should we add it for everybody?
But that's back to my earlier comment. Are we gonna go back to everybody and go, hey, Paul, you gotta recontour your backyard because you abut a stream, or, you're gonna have to, they're gonna fix Walsh Road, and so now we're gonna have the county road commission involved, and then we're gonna have to go to them and go, hey, you've gotta meet a standard, which they would anyway. And the people on Walsh Road, based on my visits to the board meetings, are all upset that they're gonna get their trees cut down anyway when the road gets fixed. So how do we create an ordinance that, for anything that exists, new or site plan review, but for anything that exists, I don't know where to go with this.
I don't know how we even do it for everybody.
Yeah.
So I agree. I'm okay to say, no, we did it in the site plan review, and that's enough.
That's it. That's all we can do is moving forward. We can't go back.
Right. And, you start talking about steep slopes, you're talking about erosion, you're talking about Part 91, and basically it's the county soil erosion.
Yeah.
they required plans and stuff like that. The one thing you could do, if you were in a site plan thing saying, we need to see your soil erosion plan, and then it's an approved one from the county. But unless we do our own inspections.
Doesn't
with
that,
regard- Go ahead.
doesn't it only cover construction, the county one?
Most of the time, it's construction or grading. And does that mean that people don't do grading and don't report it? No, that happens. But the fact of the matter is, any kind of land disturbance, you're supposed to get a permit for it. With the exception of tilling or farming or that kind of stuff. But if you were, let's say you were gonna rake up your entire yard because you didn't like the grass, and you were gonna replant it, you would technically supposed to get a permit for doing it. And depending, or a waiver. I mean, they could do that, but a lot of times what's determined by a waterway can be anything from, if you're by a ditch that goes to a waterway, you might be considered on that. And they started determining some stuff, like if you're by a catch basin, it's considered by an open waterway, because it's a direct avenue into it. So those kind of things, I mean, they'll look at it and they do that site review. And so it's kind of a redundance, I think, with regard to that, because they should be doing it it's supposed to be on any disturbance, really. So.
Okay, it
If it's
sounds like
handled
we're
at
good.
level, we're good to not,
Just, we added it to the site plan for stormwater for site plan review, and we're done.
right,
Okay. Thank you.
page 22.
So, that's
23.
23, this one is not a master plan item, but when we had our phase 1 team and we were talking about this, continuing to phase 2, we talked about this ordinance. Again, the notes at the bottom, those are just things people have suggested. That doesn't mean they're all relevant. I was just trying to not lose that. So, when we put this ordinance in, the township, there was an option to put enough in that we could actually administer it ourselves, but we didn't put everything in. So people still get sent to the state by SRI. So, but my understanding from SRI is the ordinance could be made simpler, easier to follow. So I think that would be fine, but if we're talking about things that have the greatest impact, I think making something easier is not as high a priority as saying, fix this so we can use it somehow. So to me, the groundwater and the 1610 would be a higher priority, but it sounds like there are things we could do here and then say, okay, we did all of these things in Article 16. But maybe Shri would want to clarify what could be done here. So she is using it and we are protecting wetlands.
Sri, what are your thoughts?
We can definitely simplify the text that's in there, similar to stormwater management. But as it exists right now, it's not, it's just long, but it's not as misleading as groundwater overload.
So does that mean we say we don't need to include it? It's not a master plan item.
Well, you know, as to somebody's, I think your earlier comment, when we get to the end of this,
Okay.
if we can, I'll make a note, or she can make a note somewhere in the minutes, what the priority is that we go after these.
Okay,
I mean, I put a note low priority
yeah, I
and
agree.
simplification.
Okay, low priority. This is the last one. That was it.
So, if I'm reading this correctly, the priorities would be page 21 is the first one, 1610.
Yes. And page 20, groundwater. Those two.
Which is, okay. And then number 3 is what we just talked about, the wetland protection. We agree, team? That's a priority. We'll form a committee. And whenever you're ready to come back, we'll be glad to. Not an expectation setting thing. First reporter update, or what do you, I'm putting it in my back of my brain, that's all. I realize you're all busy and have lives, so don't take that.
So what we did with stormwater is like every couple months, we were able to make progress. So I think maybe give us a chance to meet and sort of make our plans.
No problem.
So I wouldn't schedule us for the next meeting, would you? I would say, give us a chance to come back and say, please put us on the agenda.
No problem. Thank you. And thank you for your work, Katie, putting that together behind documents.
And I thank you all for the opportunity to consider these master plan items. Yay!
Well, and that's what made me think about putting things, notes in our master plan as we go along, because 12 months from now, we might say to ourselves, oh geez, because I remember, and then we're gonna have to go back to the minutes, and then we're gonna have to remember, and then we're gonna play gigs. So if we're okay with that, last article I have on new business. Discussion items. Sri has a document in front of us on renewable energy signing updates from the laws from our friendly state administrators, lawmakers. Sri, anything you'd like to, the document's in your packet.
Right, I think it's pretty straightforward. Long story short, the amendment is not required unless the township, the local communities really want to have a say in the utility scale solar systems. Like I said, a utility scale solar system usually requires hundreds of acres. So we don't have any suitable candidates for those, the first two items. There might be some battery farms which require 5 acres that may happen in Webster Township. So unless the township really wants to have a say in those, an amendment is not required, because we do have a amendment that kind of addresses everything lower than utility scale systems. Not a windmill, but they require larger areas anyways.
Yeah, and I think, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you. It was very helpful, and how you compared ours to theirs.
Does anybody, we talked about this a little while back, as I reviewed the map, we don't have any areas large enough to take on a large-scale renewable resource project, including both wind and or ground-based solar. That being the case, it's my view that we don't need to create a CREO. On the other hand, the only thing that I understand from taking the MTA course on this was that if a neighboring township has adjoining properties, they can come to us and say, we've got 100 acres and you got 100 acres, we want to build it across it, at which point we would be involved. But I haven't seen anything anywhere about large scale this far south. We just don't have the sun and the right connections and all that kind of stuff.
There's one going in Saline.
Yeah, yes.
We just saw that. It was in the paper, I believe, or
Yep.
somewhere, right?
And they've been fighting that for years.
But, you made a comment about, it doesn't have to be a 500-acre block. It can be multiple parties.
Right.
From what I read in that one, there was like 40 landowners involved.
Yeah.
But I don't think they had to be contiguous.
No,
I think
they don't.
I think the utility just had to find 500 acres of property.
Right.
So, you're right, that could affect us. But you're right.
It could, but we're also, the proximity to the grid is also another factor that makes it less probable in Webster Township. And then, like also pointed out that, the law itself is not clear, so there are some appeals to it and some objections to it, so maybe at the end of the year, things might either get clarified or, change. So because we have all the other things, it was, my recommendation would be just see how things, fall into place at the end of the year and then reconsider if we really want to have a say.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, appreciate your work on that. Agenda items for our next meeting. Maybe we don't need to have a meeting.
Article 14.
Yeah, well,
It's true.
we'll have the annual report to submit at that meeting. And I'll, Sri, anything you plan to bring to us at that meeting that you can crystal ball?
The only thing that I just have been adding notes but didn't complete properly is, one of the other items that's on your goals, the compliance permit, amendment to the compliance permit
Oh.
standards, because that's an ongoing thing that I apply almost on a daily basis. I don't think I may be able to bring a draft to the next meeting, but I can probably bring a high-level discussion,
Okay,
just so you can look at it and then,
yeah,
bless.
okay. Anything else, commissioners?
Quick question.
Yes,
Doing the township board report is, and I know a lot of you attended, but the bottom line is, would it be helpful to have their agenda included with your packet? Just so if anybody has any questions, like what was this item or what was talked about here, would that be interesting or no? Is that more information you need?
I go out and look at it and go, oh, I should pay attention to this and stuff, because I take that initiative to do it. Might not be a bad idea to
I
include
was
it
gonna say,
like that.
yeah, because it'll give me a hint to find out if I need to come, or to open up the whole packet and
Yeah,
read more in depth, so I think it'd be a good idea.
yeah,
I mean, it can't hurt to
If I
include
read
it.
the whole packet.
right.
There was a time when we used to get the draft minutes, not in our packet, but if the draft minutes were available the next day,
Yeah,
They're usually posted online the next day.
so we could actually look at the minutes to see what we might have questions about, and then we don't have to talk about everything.
Either way, it's something that, since you guys are right after it, or we are right after it, it might be something that if you had questions, we can bring it up. Because it's one of those, I bring up what I remember, what the focus was, but there may be interesting things on there that you have questions about.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
the draft agenda is usually available by the time I put the presentation packet, so I can just include it in there.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Public comment, anybody have anything that they'd like to say? I'm gonna get home to time for bed. I have a number of things in comments and correspondence. Number one, this is called the Little Red Book, and some of you might have one of these. I would guess that some of you do not. And part of our training budget, plus it's been revised, so if you have one that's older like mine, which I got from Andrea, there's a new one, 2012. Yeah, well, here's my, no, the MTA sent out, no, we've got a new one. Do you want new ones? And I said, I think it would be a great idea to have everybody on the planning commission, and probably most of the board members if they don't have one. And so I called up, and we have plenty of money in our budget for me to order everybody a new little red book.
Is that like the Robert's Rules of Order?
It's more than that. It's like how to conduct our business, ordinances, rules, zoning and planning responsibilities, ZBA, taxation.
Okay.
And I mean, I even have like little notes like the authority of this and the authority of that in reference to the state laws that apply to some of our ordinances. It's a handy dandy little thing just to go, oh, by the way, like required record keeping. She's right there. So anyway, I will, so do you have one or want one?
I want one.
Rick, two? Would you like one? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
I have an
8.
old one, yeah.
You're not an elected official or appointed official anymore. I'll tell you what, I will order 9. How about that?
Why don't you get 12?
Because I'm not in charge of the board.
So,
Anyway,
the clerk could order them for the board, if she thought that was a good idea.
I mean, that's who I call them, but anyway, I don't want to be right. Because,
So she'll
Well-
just see that you're ordering.
yeah, well, because she cut the check directly or through the credit card holders. Gets me.
Great idea.
So I'll get that. I mentioned this before. I have already registered for this, which is the Capital Conference, which is the MTA sort of annual meeting. Here's the laws that are coming. Here's what you should pay attention to on the local level. And part of the reason I'm going is to get that, but part 2 is selfish, and that is we're required to take at least 4 hours of training. So I reviewed the training for this, and that means an actual course. As I reviewed training for this year, and I intentionally didn't bring the meeting, there were some people coming. But this is 8 hours. And I'm glad to pay the gas money to drive up, because I'm going up anyway. If anybody wants to kick their entire training for the year, let me know. March 4th. And I'll leave, we'll grab some coffee at some Big B or Starbucks on the way up and have a free lunch. And the township reimburses us for this too. This is paid for by the township. So you don't, no money out of pocket. And you kill your training requirements for the year. So just FYI. The last one I have was brought to me by the board. We have already set our meeting dates. That doesn't mean they can't be changed. But in October, the board meets after us. Because Tuesday is not in October, the first Tuesday of the month. Wednesday, the first is the first Wednesday, which is our date. The question was asked of me, that they changed theirs to the 4th Tuesday. They asked us if we wanted to change ours to the 4th Wednesday so that we follow them as we normally do. No offense to our esteemed board members. I don't know that it has that much impact on what we do. My vote would be to leave our calendar alone. But
Because they changed their meeting.
right.
Because otherwise our bylaws say it's the 3rd Wednesday after the 3rd Tuesday.
Right.
So I agree, it's not gonna have an impact on one time.
No, I don't think so either, but Donna wanted me to check with us and make sure that nothing got changed on their official records and they knew when we were meeting. So, we okay to leave it alone in October?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I have nothing else. Anybody else have any correspondence, comments? I have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second? Julie? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, team. Stay warm. Drive safely. Wear highly visible clothes.